Allow the opposition leader.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Me like talk thank you, Lord. Minister, Honorable Pila Nenengi, look, seeing the paper come. Now I stand here looking across and seeing the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea. And from there, he looks across and see me standing here as the opposition leader of Papua New Guinea. And so me stand up to talk on behalf of my people of Kiriwina and Good Enough and the people of Milimbe, but more so as the opposition leader of the people of Papua New Guinea. And so, me sit down, harim talk blow over the man, na me harim talk blow Governor Blomi, Governor blow Isipit province talk, and me harim talk, you come on the side now talk, and what bring to our amending constitution. And what bring you to amending constitution? And true. That's all. Here we are, seated in this honorable house. Are we listening to ourselves or not? You know, to harim talk, you know, to talk or not? Or are we talking for an interest that is before us? I was sitting and listening to the governor from Morobe talking. Now talk numbers, that's all. You got number, but you listen. Just yesterday, you had a big argument on the floor, and you're not listening to yourself, Mr. Governor. You had the numbers at the caucus to discuss it, Mr. Speaker. And yet you could not address your issues at your caucus. Mr. Speaker, I hear my good brother, the member for Okap, address this honorable house. And he says, Mitla run in Papua New Guinea and Mitla Kisin, talk all right, people of Papua New Guinea. Is that true? You gonna Kiriwina too?
Fake news. Not like.
You gonna Good Enough too?
Not like.
Opposition leader, we have a point of order. Member for Kapa.
With respect to the opposition leader, CLRC is a very important body of the government. Government has allocated funds for the staff, CLRC staff to go around in all parts of our country. And then the invitation are given to 8 districts and provinces, public servants, and even councillors, councillor presidents, and all of them to come and then discuss any terms of reference that is issued by the government. So I'm sure those his districts and those that you mentioned have been visited. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Honorable member for Kapa, your point of order is noted.
Thank you,
Honorable leader.
Mr. Deputy Speaker. Island Bloom, a remote island. In order for you to go there, it costs the same cost of Balus, Logolo, Brisbane, and one kind of Yagolo Island. You want to cross from Abatao to my island, it will take you 24 to 36 hours to get there. By boat. And I stand here to represent my people and to represent the people of Papua New Guinea. It's like law now, you may walk in. Is it in the best interest of the people of Papua New Guinea or the interest of the people in this house? That challenge I put to Yumi 11 sit down looking. If it is for the interest of the people of Papua New Guinea, good. Search your hearts, Mr. Speaker. Yumi 11 searching heart blaming. You know, can sit down also. Now, because number you talk, now you pass a bill based on number. Search your heart.
Honorable Governor, what's your point of order?
Opposition leader, with respect to the point you are making, but never ever forget, you know, 1,000 man, a million man by consider here on this parliament. Or mark him, you, me, by the virtue of the Constitution, and we represent them in this parliament. So you stand up here, and you block Kiriwina, you stand up here. I must put 1,000 block Kiriwina, and you stand up here. Now me stand up here, 1 million people, but more me stand up here.
So, Governor, what's your point of
So
order?
you know can question him because low interest from this country. We represent the country in various constituencies. We are here. So I ask you to withdraw the statement.
Honorable Governor, your point of order is out of order. Honorable Opposition Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The good governor has spoken. Now, Mr. Mihari. He also, in the previous debate, said, me former judge, now sit down, stop here. Mr. Speaker, just a few months ago, it was quoted in the newspapers. It was quoted both in the Post Courier and the National. And this is the Chief Justice of Papua New Guinea saying this. I'm talking. Parliament, you may pass in some law in a good plan this country. This is coming from the Chief Justice. And his minister is seated right before me as I speak.
Chief Justice.
The Chief Justice made it plain and clear. What is he referring to? You mean one sit down inside of this house. Search your hearts before you vote for a law. Just a few weeks ago in the papers again, the very same Chief Justice spoke about the lack of development in this country. Mr. Speaker, as I stand here and speak, the people of Papua New Guinea are waiting for us in this house to address some of the laws that are affecting them. Plenty something that needs to be fixed. The people of Papua New Guinea are waiting for. Legacy issues and legacy laws that have been carried since independence to now that need to be amended. And you know, Minister Folens, I take my hat off for you. Some of the laws that you brought to amend the land laws have been very good. And we need to change more of those laws that we carried forward from 1975 to now. But again, me look at this law. Now I see that we are trying to amend the law. Let me go back, and someone out there was talking about National Alliance Party, and I was a deputy president of National Alliance Party, and the good governor of Jiwaka was our president of National Alliance Party. And I remember the late Grand Chief Semaiko Somare, before he brings laws here, he would bring it to the National Alliance Council for deliberations. And we would spend hours up to early hours of the morning deliberating on some of these laws. And one of the laws that we had a look at is the very law that we're trying to amend now. The very law that this parliament is trying to amend now, Mr. Speaker. Now I look at the reasons why even our forefathers allowed the cushion, should I say, or the pillow to take some of the pressures off. And I look around here and I see a lot of party leaders seated here. Party leaders, would you just allow this to go through? Are you not a potential peer yourself?
Amen.
It really brings me to sit back here. It really brings me here to sit and look at some of the questions that have been raised by people who have studied the law and understand the law. And I look at what the Chief Justice of this nation has spoken about laws that we pass on this floor of Parliament. And so, Mr. Deputy Speaker, our forefathers have looked at the law and have put in drafting of those laws, allow sufficient time for prime ministers to serve our country. The Prime Minister's got 18 months after election, and he's got 12 months before elections. And today, as I stand here and I look across, you've got 90 PDs. This is the backfire, this is the cushion, you've got it. What other protection do you want? What is something more you like? Put him on top of this. You don't need more comfort as we speak here today. What we need, Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, is for the Minister for Justice to bring in laws that will strengthen law and order in this country. Laws that will fix the forex issues in this country. Laws that we need to amend, laws that will protect. I just heard the governor say all investors in upcoming money go out. We need to look at that law and make it law in the country. So planting law needs amendment for the benefit of the people of Papua New Guinea. You mean law here? You mean like amending law for our benefit in this house? So, Mr. Speaker, let me finish by saying this. When I hear members of parliament say, you got number, you come send this in government. This la tok tok tasol, you got number. It's a very dangerous language. It is a very dangerous language. And let me give you caution. Our people are not stupid sitting out there and watching. Time you talk, you got number, you come send this in this law. People out there, out of me too, me got number, me got tribe, me can protect me yet, me can destroy this place. Because me got number. Where is the rule of law? Where is common sense? Today I appeal as the opposition leader. Me appeal to Prime Minister Blow Papua New Guinea. And me appeal to leaders of the government that you carry this law, go back and look good and pass it. That is my appeal to the Prime Minister and Parliament. That we should not pass this law, but allow it to go through a process of scrutiny. Na biya nyumi Karim comeback, na nyumi vote legislature. With that, Mr. Deputy Speaker, may I talk thank you for the opportunity to Harim voice blogging. Thank you.
Honorable Member of Finsafen.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. May like rise lo contribute to this very important debate. Come up Laos. Mr. Deputy Speaker, me rise at the same time we got on along representing party where me 14 member. Stubin said, I am honored to speak on behalf and for them on this particular issue where they've sort of allowed me to speak under a resolution and Mipla Lokim Slolona combined Ting Blomipla I would present to you and the House, and whichever way I'm going, you can look him, you can talk law. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in my little party of 14 members, they are very qualified senior leaders like Sir John Tundari, they are termers like Sasindra Mutuvel, a lot of members who are more articulate in terms of presenting our position on this, but they've given me the honor. Nonetheless, and I would present to our House our views on this particular law. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, I think having had the benefit of a lot of these discussions coming from opposition, our government members, and these healthy discussions, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we must embrace. Why I say this is because in the spirit of democracy, when the architects who put together the system of government we call democracy, they allowed for majority to rule, but at the same time minority must speak. And thus we embrace some of the opinions spoken by our members from opposition, from our government. That is the spirit of democracy, Mr. Deputy Speaker. At the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, we get to, with all our business that we say and our views that we bring to the floor, Yes, the number gets to decide, but numbers should not just produce or do anything on the floor. Members should speak out. Mr. Deputy Speaker, time yumi stop lo place house na, igat house plong yumi Almaniat long stop the family house. Suppose Mary like moving table or floor na tok inside the bedroom. You don't have tok planti. You balarame make him. But time man la moving boundary. Plong ground blue you and boundary ya. So you must talk because it will affect you. You are creating the boundaries around which you will live, your children will live, and your grandchildren will live in. And this particular amendment is very important because we are trying to deal, as many speakers have said, on a particular notion or creature, VoNC. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I speak having said on government side, having the honor to sit on opposition side in my short limited time. Me was a governor blong, Nisipigi talk. I think 6 years, me plus a member, second timer. But me plus stop and look him the practice. Mr. Speaker, time all Southern man blame me plenty lawyer stop there. All it touch him now, all founding fathers blame me. Time all planning mama law. Now like set him all law blame me. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to think and appreciate that when they set these laws, there was an intention of what, remember making one and through. What was the original intention for putting this sort of pressure valve inside the constitution blaming? Mr. Speaker, at the same time I step back to appreciate that when they put these provisions, such as now, you mean Section 145, these people who architectured that Section 145 have never lived through a Section 145 motion of vote of no confidence. Having practiced and having seen other legislations, they envision that in the future, if governments were to do this, you may put in this particular provision for that right to be exercised on the floor. Now, Mr. Speaker, me or Semitok Penis, most leaders here, Sepuka staff, some senior leaders, they are more qualified to talk on this particular and the Constitution as well. But because by nature of you come up legislator, Mr. Speaker, meeting every member on this floor must talk on issues because we are guardians of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. Me like Lutingi Mosem, time this old man been put in the provision of VoNC, Mr. Speaker, you would appreciate. They were men who were born in different times. All know got mobile phone. They were not men corrupted by our times. They were different men. The intention at the time was different. All the envisioning was what they put in there, they will be scheming and scamming, Mr. Deputy Speaker. The practice would be different. The intention of the VoNC was that if there ever arose a situation where government go bankrupt, opposition, government or members Kambung na put in VoNC. But Mr. Speaker, wampla, time istabli uni mi reading wampla textbook on politics. Na isla book equal name plus wampla leader. Time mix independence isla book ito go sem. O leader am all honest leader. Ono sa geman. Time mo to go osa go. Time mo to come osa come. Ono sa velo trick. But time 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus VoNC come. 1 or 2 or 3 plus leader blame me. Move go sem, move come back. Move go sem, move come back. Put him, all him deck, Prime Minister, all him deck sem. That game evolved in the practice of this provision. It was never the intention in this, to start with. When they envisioned the law, it was completely different. They expected honest men on the floor to speak their minds and their heart, and when their conviction was right, they would move and change. They did not think that they will move and go and come back and leverage it. If I don't go, Prime Minister, you give me this job. If I don't go, this. This lot didn't envision that. This was formulated over time in practice. The intention was very clear, and I support some of the speakers on this floor. The intention was very clear. They wanted check and balances. But when those checks and balances were also misused or all misappliable checks and balance, you make certain limits of instability now come up. Mr. Deputy Speaker, one former president blow. America, the greatest threat to democracy is indifference. The greatest threat to democracy is indifference. And I appreciate time, Governor Jufa, I think first time he became a member, Namisiran Losla Flona, Governor Jufa been making a statement. And Firan opposition, at that time I was a backbencher, I said in government, backbenchers. Naim Togosem, the The greatest enemy to this country is not anyone outside of this house. We are our greatest enemy for progress. You all members, you stop on the floor. We become our greatest enemies on this floor. And I could remember clearly as if it's yesterday. Mr. Speaker, when I think Governor Blongisipik, he told us the US Constitution was amended probably less than 10 times. I appreciate the comment he made. But the context was that the Americans came from the mother of democracy. They came from England. Papunini kam lo Stone Age na yumi come out there. So you can appreciate why sometimes we fail to understand provisions. Sometimes we adjust, but that's the practice we must evolve into as a democracy. Mr. Deputy Speaker, time yumi appreciate them all different issues where Kamlo Yumita solo some law and order narakla issue. You can appreciate in the world too. The world is evolving. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to make a statement, and I think it's a fair statement, that social issues will continue to evolve. And when times change, people will need to adjust to the practice. Mr. Speaker, let me make a point. Having seen a lot of government changes, a lot of lobbying, a lot of this and that, the intention is far from the practice. The intention of this law is far from the practice. The practice is quite different. The practice is far beyond what our founding fathers imagined when they put this provision in. Now, if you give this, Attorney General has brought this amendment. If we put this law through, what will it do? In my view, it will give security and stability to government to stay. One, time we call him named law, stability. Mr. Deputy Speaker, or some plenty you stop long politics, you go come now. All of us experiences to see how it's really played on the floor. Time you go to politics on Blaman Tokimi. Time you step outside, it's like rugby league. The country is watching. You meet to go some, you stop on live TV now. People watching us. It's like a rugby league game. And people will comment, people will say this and that. But what actually happens on the floor is far from a spectator's point of view, because he stands on the outside and sees, and he comments and says, I'm not like step person. He could have passed the ball. But when you're actually on the floor and you're passing, it's different. My point is the practice of trying to deal with the VoNC is different. Mr. Speaker, my second point, my last point, number Mr. Speaker, now party position along our party is that one, this will now encourage stability. One word, it will be like a shield to protect the kind of pressure that a ruling party or a government or prime minister has to endure, because he's prime minister and he is equal among all of us and he has to be voted by us. That too becomes a case when he has to report to all of us whether we want this or that or this or that. He just has to give, because there's a certain provision called VoNC. So, Prime Minister, if you don't give me this, or your government or your coalition doesn't give me this, I'll go this. It's no longer about country or whatever. Sometimes it's misused for personal gain. Therefore, some form of stability is good. Some form of stability is good. Now, if we give this certain level of confidence, it's a shield to give confidence. My challenge, my position, meaning my party's position, is that we will support this amendment. My challenge to the Prime Minister now is that this legislation is a shield and a sword for you to utilize. One, it takes away the unnecessary pressure of people who don't have the intention of using this that was said by our forefathers, but for ulterior motives, to capitalize on a provision like this. One, it must give you the strength and the confidence to make strong calls now as we enter. One of our recommendations as a party was that next year, that's what we go 50 years now. Time we go 50 years, Prime Minister, we will support you with this legislation. You must now make strong calls, reform, agendas, law. Mamolo, you must send him so that after 50 years, we must set new boundaries, new sets of records. We must make him as a government. So now time we support him, we give him strong na conference long. This law said we 14 blaman we talk, we support him. And we like stop set up on them government and Prime Minister. Take this as a conference for you to make some hard calls and for us to progress forward. So this la contribution blemilo this la debate kamosemna. Me like appreciate him ogata comments you make him Laos. One plan out the me like put him na missing down, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Time me talk to floor. You must respect him. Opinions blemilo floor. Governor Blomi em toko se morobe bahad lokam tok. That's why em tok and morobe tok. My 100,000 people of Finsafen will not speak. Therefore, when I speak for them. That's why when you get my vote on this particular bill, Finsafen is voting for it. Morobe is voting for it. So you must respect him view, but at the same time, you may appreciate him where our comments are coming. Now you may go forward. So, Mr. Speaker, as leader of our party, resolution bill plus and party and we support him. There's a certain amendment to a Justice Minister Xim Kamlimi. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.